This is a Steam Greenlight trailer for Tesla Gladiator. I'm not going to say the actual name of it.
Why not? Why wouldn't you say the actual name of it? I don't think there's anything wrong with the actual name of it, but...
Well, do you want to have a bad time?
Obviously, I'm watching your video, aren't I? Of course I want to have a bad time.
Because we're about to have a bad time.
Again, I'm watching your video. I can tell.
This is... attempts to be controversial and offensive aside, we're already looking at a very shit fucking game.
You want to know something offensive that I'm playing at the moment? Your video. It's offensive to my senses.
The developers claim to be animators from The Witcher 3. Oh, and there are the words on the screen there. Yeah. The
first ever tranny game. So?
Yeah. So yes, from the same developers who brought us The Witcher 3, the same animation team, allegedly. As you can see, it looks exactly like CD Projekt Red's work, except really, really crap looking and pointlessly offensive.
I don't see what's so offensive about it. Do you want to point out why it's offensive?
So, yeah, very much like a game we covered a while back. That game that was basically hate speech that got pulled from Steam. I'm at kind of a loss for words. There was the title, anyway.
Yes, Tranny Gladiator. I can read.
It's at this point that I'd read the Steam Store description, but I
can't read. No, I'm kidding, that's not what he said.
Just don't think I'll fucking bother.
You know what, I'm not really all that bothered to read it either, but I'm putting it up on the screen. Pause, read, you'll find the closest thing to a slur you find is the names of some of the characters, which I'm guessing are supposed to be a joke. They're supposed to be funny.
It's full of slurs, because that's what that word is. If you didn't know, for the kids taking notes at home, it's a slur, and generally one used by complete and utter ignorant pricks.
And if I were to ask anyone advice as to what is or isn't ignorant, it would definitely be this guy. And by the way, tranny, for most people, tranny is actually a preferred title. Most transsexuals or transvestites or whatever you don't mind being called tranny, including one I know personally.
So my advice would be, don't use that word, especially if you're trying to sell a game. What confuses me about this is the company itself. Out of curiosity, I just had to go and check out Pan Games, looked at their website, which quite proudly puts on right there front and centre, we support diversity and promote equal rights.
That's probably because they do support diversity and they do promote equal rights. Using the word tranny doesn't do anything to disprove that.
I don't know if they genuinely think that what this game is progressive.
What about this game could be progressive? How about the fact that it's the first game that I've heard of where the protagonist and the antagonist and pretty much every other character is a transsexual? I can name games that have males as protagonists. I can name games that have females as protagonists. This is the first game I've ever heard of where the protagonist is in fact a transsexual. That's progressive. I'd call that a very progressive addition to the interactive media. Transsexuals as protagonists. I think that's progressive.
Like, I'm actually wondering if they legitimately think they've done something here that's good.
And I'm actually wondering if you legitimately think you know what you're talking about.
It's not, because again, it's using a word that is considered an incredibly insulting, pejorative term.
To certain pussy-whipped arseholes such as yourself, maybe, sure.
As its front and centre thing, and obviously is making a huge big joke out of a marginalised group of people.
How are they making a joke out of these people? If anything, I'd say they're making a joke with them.
And so I can't tell whether their talk about diversity and equal rights is some sort of sarcastic note, or if they really do think that this is okay.
Okay.
But it's not. It's not okay. It's fucking shitty. Like, really fucking shitty.
Goody. 3 minutes and 23 seconds in, and finally he actually starts talking about the game. What about it is shitty? Is it the technical aspect? Is it maybe the story? Is it maybe the fact you haven't even played it yet?
My instinct when I look at something like this is to just think that it's someone, a studio that made a really shit fucking game.
God, you sound like a 12-year-old. Just made a really shitty fucking game.
And realised it was shit, and so thought they'd capitalise on the whole controversy train. We see this on Steam Greenlight a lot. We saw it with that game about killing gay people, where it's clear that the people making the game had no fucking talent, and so thought they'd just try and be upsetting instead to get attention and maybe get some support from people who, enjoy being upsetting themselves. But ultimately, I'm just left confused.
Yeah, because that's a tough job to pull off.
And honestly saddened by this. The studio is inscrutable at this point, and the game itself is clearly fucking rubbish. What really floors me is the claim that they are AAA animators who worked on Witcher 3. Something tells me that the fine folks at CD Projekt Red would be somewhat horrified to find their names associated with this, for a variety of reasons in terms of both quality and just general human decency. But that's just me guessing. But I would, I'm every instinct that I have tells me, fuck this game, fuck it hard, and I hope it fucks off.
You'll need a little bit more than instinct. Maybe you could go into actual aspects of the game and actually explain to us why it's shit. You can't just go off instinct. You might as well have just said, oh, this game is shit because I could feel it in my nuts.
Which it may very well do, because, again, I get the sneaking suspicion that very much like the game about killing gay people, this one might not be around for long. Could be wrong, but generally I think even Valve has its limits, and absolutely no storefront within its right mind would want to be associated with a game with this name that makes a huge amount of fun out of a particular group of people who already put up with enough shit.
Yeah, Jim, that they do. They do have to put up with a lot of shit, but probably the most irritating thing they have to put up with is people like you. You know, people who take it upon themselves to decide what is and isn't offensive to these people, and then go out thinking they have the right to speak on their behalf, thinking that they know what's better for these people than these people do. That's probably amongst one of the most irritating things they have to put up with. People like you, Jim.
And probably don't need this adding to it. So, yeah, I hope it gets fucked, I guess, is my professional opinion.
That is not a professional opinion, Jim. In your video, you have demonstrated that you are not a professional. Nothing about your review was professional. You didn't cover anything about the game. You didn't cover the storyline, you didn't cover the technical aspects, you didn't cover the artistic aspects, or you did sort of, and a mediocre job at that. Nothing about the characters, nothing. You just bitched about the title and just that it was shit because nothing about your video was professional.
On that. So that was a depressing thing to look at.
A depressing thing to look at? You mean like your video?
Steam Greenlight. I'm glad it's not a person, because there is literally no game of Limbo that it could lose. Because of how low it keeps going is what I meant.
Oh look, you tried to make a pun. It wasn't funny.
By that. Fucking hell.
My thoughts exactly. I am so glad I'm done with your video.